Hey kids, welcome to the show. Happy Monday, happy week, happy Retropalooza week. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to so much stuff, guys, this week you don't even know. And I'm going to try and tell you a few things about what's going on. So this will take a bit of a slightly personal turn. I'm going to review that guy right there. Well, just a quick overview because he came in and I think he's worth buying. And then we'll get into our topic, and I do have some pre-orders for you. But before I do that, I'm going to catch up with chat. So I see Jim Largo, Bjorn Jorgensen, Johnny Sorensen, Boba Hicks, Jason Garcia, Wilhelm Toy and Hobby. Subscribe to his channel immediately, ladies and gentlemen. Ted Melich, Nolan, Bill Wifta, Kieran Ball saying hello to everybody was saving a lot of time. I just read that. Ian Sweeney. And think a guy, everybody. So, welcome to the show. Good to see everybody. So happy to be here today. And yes, Bill, I am wearing a Red Dwarf shirt. I've had this one for about 2 years, and I'm probably gonna need another one because this the one it's starting to deteriorate. But I love it. It's a good thing. It's great. So, first off, this guy came in over the weekend, and I wasn't expecting this till much later. Hasbro was like, here, take all our toys. And when this came out for pre-order, I knew I was getting it because the sculpt looks great, and it's a really good Jim Lee version of the Beast in the form that I'm most familiar with as a comic fan, okay? Guy's got a ton of articulation. He's got the toes as well as the feet and ankles, your knees, arms, and normal Marvel Legends from the waist up. But he looks great. He comes with these great, beakers and stuff, and he's got glasses that he can wear as they show you on the back. I mean, it's a really cool looking figure. But the biggest thing, aside from it just being a good Beast figure, is that this lab coat is soft goods. His lab coat is soft goods. How cool is that? And you can get this guy for retail right now in most places. Like, he's not flying off the shelves in such a way you can't get him. He's well worth the price. It's a premium figure, a premium price. I'm happy that I got him. I wish he was about $5 to $10 cheaper. But you are getting what you pay for with this, if for no other reason than the soft goods alone. If I were to go to Cape Master or somebody else and have them make this, it would cost me $10 to $30 depending upon what we were having put in there. So if you factor that into the overall price, not even thinking about these other accessories, which could be a couple more bucks, this is a good figure to get. If you want a Beast that looks like that style, you like the soft goods lab coat, even if you want to use a lab coat for somebody else, I don't know, I think he's well worth your purchase. He arrived. He looks great. Can't wait to open him and play with him. Really cool stuff. Really cool stuff. So I recommend him. Recommend him. Boba Hicks saying, I want that beast. Johnny Sorensen says, the best thing, it doesn't cost $200 like the previous one. I bet this gets scalped too. I mean, aren't they all going to get scalped at this point on some level? Like Bill says, scalper's going to scalp. Pick them up while you can before people pick up on how much value he actually has. Again, I don't really like paying as much as some of these premium figures cost, but with the soft goods and how much it would cost me to get one if I wanted one, which I would, I think it's worth it in that context. And Bjorn asks if the coat would work on the lizard. I mean, it probably would, but he's already got a coat on him. So I don't know how much that would be worthwhile, but I'm sure it would fit. I mean, it's oversized. It makes me wonder, though, why they didn't do that with the Mr. Fantastic figure they released last year. Rather than having the exchangeable arms, that have the lab coat, molded in and having this plastic piece you got to take off. Would have made a lot more sense to get a soft goods coat and then done something more with the additional appendages and stuff. But hindsight is 2020 after all. So Ted Millich says that he saw Target today a bunch of new Star Wars stuff, but passed on it all. It's just too expensive. $21.99 for a 3 3/4 old Boba Fett. No, that's too much money. No, I was against them when they were 10. 15, I'll take it. That's the name of the game. But Bill says they're already scalping me, turning a playset, and it's not even funded yet. Exactly. It's getting up there, and I think it's very, very feasible it will fund. But people are like, I got a thing. If you see that on eBay and you're willing to pay someone for it, just go to Mattel Creations and put your money down there. That's the thing. Ian Sweeney says that's the Boba tax. I mean, you're not wrong. So this week is the week leading up to Retropalooza Arlington, which is the main, if Retropalooza has a prime, this is Retropalooza Prime. And this is the big one. This is, all the best guests, I think, come to this one. We're getting some great repeats. We're getting, some folks from Monster Squad. We're getting folks from Fly the Navigator. We're getting folks from Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead, along with all your usual suspects. And, Red Wrestling Toys looks to be making a play at this one as well, as long as the box with the toys in it gets here on time, which we're looking into. If we get this resolved by tomorrow morning, everything should be fine. And even if the box doesn't get here until Friday, I'm fine, because I can show up there pretty late and set up and then still be in time for the panel in the evening. So it all works out. It all works out for me. Ted Millich says he's saving his money for when Valaverse ships come in. Yeah, that's coming. That's coming. So, I'm overly excited. Like, even if we weren't doing the Resurrection Toys stuff, I'm always excited for Retropalooza. That's where I get to see so many of my friends that I don't get to see often enough, whether they're in town or not. So it's one place where I'm going to be able to see Melvor and Billy and Jay and Rob and all the usual folks, on top of folks like Dan, Pat. I'll get to meet Ian for the first time, who was on this show. I'm really, really looking forward to it. It's going to be a very, very welcome change of pace from the last couple months. And I'm looking forward to the socialization aspect. And as a fringe benefit, I get to show off our products from Resurrection Toys as well. So I'm really happy about that. Nerd Rage is here. Welcome. Good to see you, my friend. You work late nights, so this is morning for you. Yes, indeed. Jordan Jorgensen says, for some reason, my Walmart moved the Motu stuff and I couldn't find it. Well, because they knew you were looking. World Made of Cardboard has bought his ticket for Retropalooza. Does that mean I'm going to see you? You better find me. I'm probably going to be in the back row with the tables with the other guests. I don't think I'm going to have like a traditional booth. I just need a table. So he did say he's going to give me a table, and I'm hoping it's back there because that's where we all hang out. So please come see me and identify yourself because I don't know anyone's faces and I'm horrible with names. So I really want to see you. It'll be great to do so. No one says Monster Squad. You say, yes, sir. The main guy, I can't remember his real life name for the life of me. He was on Iconicon. Oh, the main guy with the Stephen King Rules shirt. His name escapes me at the moment. But yeah, he's going to be there. And I'm just like, oh. That's one of the coolest things about being a part of the extended Retropalooza family is that you tend to get more FaceTime with all the guests. And then that can be so much fun. Like we've always had fun doing that. And I'm looking forward to it. But there's not going to be like a night off for the whole thing because Friday night we have a double feature. A movie of one of the guests is going to be showing, and then the Adventures in Game Chasing is showing, and then we're doing a panel right after that. Then first thing in the morning, you start up, you have your, you do the convention the whole time, and I'm not going to be able to leave the booth really because it's just me, and that's fine. I'm not complaining. I'm happy. But I'm going to be at the booth all day on Saturday and certainly the majority of the day on Sunday and then come home. Because Saturday night, there tends to be a hang, but usually it's a bit more sedate by comparison to Friday. But given that we're doing a panel at like 10 o'clock on Saturday night, I have a feeling people are just going to say, screw it and go to sleep. But then again, there are certain people in the Retropalooza family that are known for staying up late till 3, 4 in the morning and then getting up and doing the thing. I don't know how deep into that well I'm actually willing to dig. I will hang out with some folks, but being that I've got to actually man the table, I got to be careful. So, Saturday night, however, I have a feeling it will be party time, and we'll have some fun with it. But no one says that's awesome. Wish I was able to attend, but don't even have a passport. It's okay. Well, the thing is, with Retropalooza guests, we tend to have people come back. So if this goes well, a lot of the people that you're seeing will probably come back. World Made of Cardboard says I can only be there Saturday. First convention, so be gentle. I will be. What won't be gentle is the floor. So I strongly recommend that you bring your most comfortable shoes. Make sure they're tied tightly. And don't be afraid to take breaks. The best kept secret about Retropalooza is that when you first come in, and there's different doors, there's a little vendor outside and stuff, but there's benches all in that front hallway. So if you're walking around and you're starting to get tired or your feet are starting to get sore, dude, go out to one of those benches, or we have a whole section off. This, if you're walking in, it's to your right. If I'm facing from the tables out to the front, it's to my left. So as you come in, it's all the way to the right. They have all these gaming consoles set up to play games for tournaments, but they're just on free play in the meantime. Plenty of chairs. So find yourself something to sit on. Take a few minutes, rest your feet, give yourself some time. The best thing to do, honestly, is to go all the way around the big U and then take the aisles one at a time. Because once you have an idea of how much stuff is there, and the things tend to be strategically placed so that if you're making a big loop, you'll be able to see stuff. And then the middle ones tend to be more artisan stuff. So like the really, really cool stuff, in my estimation, tends to be around the outer bit. If you're looking for toys, you'll want to go all the way to the back left. That's where Chief has all of his stuff. Usually he's got like 3 or 4 tables back there just stacked to the gills with toys, as you might have seen in previous videos from Retropalooza past. So definitely check his stuff out. If you're looking for toys, that's the first place you need to go. All right. So it happens. And Bjorn, don't worry about it. I totally understand you were trying to make it happen. It happens. It's okay. But I appreciate even the attempt. Even the attempt. Coming back to Action Force, Kieran Ball says, sadly, Valor vs. Action Force is completely dried up in the UK. English stores that used to stock them have them available, and there's only Desert Red available on eBay as a custom. Ugh. perhaps that will change with the next waves being launched. Fingers crossed for you and everyone overseas for that. Johnny Sorensen says the crowd make it wild. These babies you'll want to fire off in 3-second bursts. And the guy that's in charge of security for these probably would take that a little too seriously, so I'm not going to repeat that to him. And then John, World Minute Cardboard, going full Cobra Commander, says, yes, must have toys. Yes, you must. You must. Logic Blaster is here as well, says, what's up? Great to catch you live, and great to catch you here. So the title of today's stream talks about essentially expressing dissent or displeasure with poor practices. I use the title Protest and Survive, which is a song by Discharge that Anthrax famously covered in 1991 on the Attack of the Killer Bees. One of my favorite songs of all time. Couldn't resist the opportunity to use that particular song title as like the theme for this. So this will apply to toy collecting, but it applies to all consumer practices, any governmental stuff, even your personal relationships. And it boils down to one very simple precept. How can someone alter their behavior if you do not make it clear in a respectful way that their behavior is not satisfactory or acceptable? If you don't tell them, they don't know, they don't change, right? So there's more to this. So if we're talking about it in general, voice your opinion. Be respectful of people. Don't attack people, but make your opinion known. If you disagree with a decision or a practice that's being done, whether on a personal or professional level, and you expressed it, then it's for them to take that on. If we're talking about, customer to corporation, a big thing there is like you feel like you're screaming into a wind machine or into a fan where it doesn't really it blows back at you. So you don't know if your opinion is being heard. And some people take that to heart to the point where they feel like they should threaten people. You see this in gaming all the time, where people threaten bodily harm or violence or something just not adult, to be perfectly honest, in retaliation for some change made to a game or to a toy or something like that. And that's never acceptable. So everything we're talking about today is that whether it's a personal gripe, professional gripe, or a customer gripe, you want to make sure you're expressing yourself in a way that is respectful and direct. You don't want to leave any stone unturned. Better to say your piece than not to. Nerd Rage bringing up a valid point, says no corporation is your friend. That's because corporations aren't people. There are people in it, but it's certainly not a person. We owe Mattel, Hasbro, or any other company no more loyalty. I would say even less loyalty than we do the people that care about us in our lives. Jim Largo says, dissent. What a pleasant way to say, take my disagreement seriously. It's true. It's true. 100% true. But the idea being that, we talk about, even on this show, things that I don't understand. Like we have those what the fuck toys that are so crazy expensive. And just saying, I don't understand. Like, you've heard me say this phrase a bunch. It's cool, but not insert the price cool. It's, we don't really understand why they're doing something. And when there's not transparency in the decision making, it tends to muddy the waters to where you're not even sure why they're doing something. Therefore, why would you also agree with what they're doing? But I also think that goes both ways. In as much as companies should be more transparent, people in general should be more transparent. I think that whether it's a friend, a significant other, a coworker, or just whatever, if people just spoke their mind in a respectful way and knew remembered how to disagree with someone without thinking they're attacking you, the world would be a better place. you should be comfortable to say, hey man, what you did this XYZ time was not cool, or honey, could you please not do that? It really, like, when I first get home, I don't want to hear whatever the case may be. There's ways to express this stuff. There are friends of mine, even this year, that I have pissed off, and they told me, and I took it to heart, and I've done my best to change my behavior to avoid it as much as possible. So, because out of respect for them, and I think that you have to be willing to take on criticism, right? Companies should do the same. Oftentimes, though, when it comes to transparency, because corporations are so big, like Mattel and Hasbro, and movie companies are a good example. Video game developers are a good example. Um, where they feel like they have to craft their communication to such a fine point that all the humanity is lost in the communication. It loses any bite it might have had, and it feels synthetic. It feels produced. That itself can create anger and resentment in their customer base. So you can't figure out why they didn't do a full 4K transfer on a certain film, or why that album's never getting re-released, or why a Nintendo Switch game's not getting a physical release, or why they're re-releasing an original mold instead of updating the articulation, or whatever the problem might be. And so I'm not going to sit here and say that simply expressing your dissent or expressing your disappointment or criticism professionally alone is enough. The people hearing that criticism have to be willing to hear it and act on it directly whenever they can. And when they can't, they should be transparent about why it's not something they're able or willing to do in the moment. It's very frustrating. Gojastron's at work, but he says all you kids behave. That's everyone except me, basically. Stephen S. wants to know if we can body slam folks when we're expressing dissent. I mean, if you're in a wrestling ring and you have consent, by all means. By all means. Giraffe correcting me says, I love Mattel more than my parents. They're going to give me Eternia, whereas my parents did not. Yes, but they're going to charge you about 2 to 3 times what it really should be. So is that a good thing? I know you're being semi-sarcastic. And Boba Hicks says, I turned semi-transparent in the daytime. Fair enough. Jim Largo asks if creative cursing is off the agenda. Never. Creative cursing is never off the agenda. As long as your intent is not to hurt, I think cursing is always welcome. And Kieran Ball was like, no, I hate to tell you, charging over $500, not giving it to you. They're providing you an opportunity and the means to give them lots of money is what they're doing. I guess you're right. What a roller coaster ride this comment thread's been. I guess you're right. Parents are back in my good graces. There you go. There you go. Wilhelm says, all right, Jim, stop beating around the bush. Spelled like the beer. What did I do now? Like, nothing. Nothing at all, sir. Nothing at all. But well, you didn't get a strongly worded leather. Meh. And I realize this is very kind of like a nebulous topic because there are so many ways to apply it. But that's why I'm being nebulous with it, because it isn't about just one thing or the other that happened recently. Can I point to Mattel Creations and Eternia, or Hasbro's price hikes on Marvel Legends, or the G.I. Joe Classified line actually getting better articulation and better quality, all as examples of what tends to happen? Sure. I absolutely could. And they're all good examples, whether it's for a positive or a negative, right? It's really just a matter of the key being to make sure that you are always expressing your opinion in a respectful way and constantly. I think the people, there's a lot of talk about the so-called silent majority. In many different circles, that means many different things. But I really do have to say that I am willing to bet that there's a lot of folks that just out of a lack of desire to make waves don't say things about things they're disappointed about, whether it be the pizza that they got, the toy they're buying, the video game their kid wanted for Christmas, whatever. And I think that if reasonable people express dissent in reasonable ways more often, um, the business climate and maybe even the world at large would be in a much better place. And that's all I'm trying to encourage you or anyone watching this after the fact to do, is to always, just say something. It might feel like you're screaming into the void, but sometimes the void responds, right? Whether we're talking about the Giacomo classified line or Snake Mountain being a retail release, for example, I have a feeling that they probably meant for that to be another Mattel Creations and for them to have confirmed that it is going to go to retail at the most recent event, which is on the heels of that Eternia reveal. I think that they're learning on some small level. They're listening somehow, and I think they're smart because they know Snake Mountain's going to sell like hotcakes. No reason to limit that stuff. Dun, 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 dun. Johnny Thornton says, I have lots of problems with you people, and you're going to hear about it. My son tells me your company stinks. I mean, that qualifies. Nerdbait says, Hasbro has priced me out of the market more or less, and I'm acting with my wallet, not bitching about it online. And that's fair enough. I'm glad you brought that up, because that is 100% a form of reasonable dissent. Just don't buy the stuff, right? And there's a lot of people that think their vote doesn't matter, or them not buying it doesn't count because that thing will still get funded or that thing will still be made or whatever. And although the fact that you see people funding things that you don't want funded, like Eternia or certain HasLabs or whatever, they're falling below sales expectations on certain things, and they're seeing the feedback online, whether you choose to actually do it there or not. If you combine the fact that quiet people are quietly just not buying something, and then the complaints of the loudmouth people like myself, eventually I think people start to get the message on some level. It drives me up a wall, but I think it can work. And Jim Largo says that if a gripe is quantifiable and honest, I see no harm in blatantly calling it out in no uncertain terms. Absolutely. For example, when I've had more than 8 beers, I become very difficult to understand, and that is frustrating when you're trying to listen to me tell a story. That's a very good example. There are no hotcakes, sir. There are no hotcakes. Warman Cardboard says, I'm expressing my utter hatred for road construction during rush hour in DFW. If it makes you feel any better, it's like that all over the country. DFW just seems to be a bit worse. Not by a lot. I've seen a lot worse, that's for sure. Logic Blaster says, I feel like Hasbro isn't listening at all to criticism. The lack of action figure vehicles for their Star Wars lines indicates that they don't care. That's a separate division. So, they're improving classifieds. They're raising the prices on Marvel Legends. And Star Wars just kind of sits there. So I think that it certainly has degrees, right? And Kieran Ball says, trying to get your message heard by Mattel and Hasbro is like pissing in the wind. I can see that. I understand where that comes from. But that never means you shouldn't try. Just because the potential for failure or the perception is that it will automatically fail, does that mean we just stop talking? We just stop complaining and then hope things change? I don't think so. I think if anything, you pour it on a little bit more. And it sucks. I don't like complaining about stuff. Contrary to popular belief, I don't enjoy complaining at all. I much prefer being happy. Like, that's why the first thing I did was show you a Hasbro product that I really, really like. That I legitimately think is great. A little high priced, but it's justifiable if you really think about it. However, that should not become the standard for that figure. So my complaint is that I don't mind paying that much for that figure. However, figures should have those features and should not cost that much. That's my thing. Ian Sweeney says, is it odd that I never wanted the original Eternia? It was always looked like the toy equivalent of a store cupboard soup thrown together with leftover bits, and Castle Grayskull remains where it's at for me. And I understand that. An original Eternia was always like, that'd be kind of cool, but not at the prices that they're selling for, not even 5 years ago. Even when they were like $200-300, I'm like, you out of your mind. No, that's not that good. And this new one, it's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie. If one fell on my lap, sure. But I'm not gonna break the bank and eat ramen for it. I have better things to go broke over. It's a whole thing. Stephen S. says, we're HasLab rats in their eyes. Mattel sees the other companies doing stay figure lemmings. Yeah, I see where you're going with this. No one says, Mattel took the fun out of Eternia for me anyway. I'm happy that those who want it can get it, but instead give my money to Mattel because they obviously don't want it. I'll spend on Resurrection toys. Aww! Appreciate that. Bill Wifta says, I have experienced drunk grindhead Jim trying to tell a story. It's true. True you have. And like really drunk too. It's pretty good. Wilhelm says, I have a complaint. I'll take it, sir. I'll take it. And Steve's like, looks like a goddamn town meeting. Yeah. And then Bill Wiggs like, personal data transmitters. No context. Good dress. Does at least Mattel heard our Wondar screams, and that was cool that people could get him now. I agree. And they apparently did say at the last Mattel meetup with all the content creators that it's not a bygone conclusion that all exclusive figures will have that done. But they are looking at whatever means to make sure people that want them can get them. So I think what they're probably looking at other avenues as far as like perhaps increasing print runs, hopefully blocking out known scalpers, like whatever the case may be. So like for me, like again, I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think the made to order is a good reactionary way to fix this. But I think if there's a way to where you make an exclusive figure, you put it for order, and people can get it for a reasonable price for a reasonable period of time, and then get it a couple weeks later, that's the way you do it. Or maybe just put it in retail. Just call me nuts. But I think that they rightfully, don't want to just use the made to order as a crutch. It sounds like they really want to find the right solution so they don't have to offer that, right? And I would agree. If they can find a way to make it to where it's not such a slog or you have to rush or a panic-driven thing and you can still get it retail price, I think that's the way to go. I wouldn't give a flying fuck about it being an Mattel Creations exclusive if it was something where I was near guaranteed to get one. Wouldn't bother me at all. It'd be slightly frustrating just because I can't order it from somewhere else that I trust more. But if they find a way that doesn't make made to order the default and they can make them available to people, go for it. I don't know what that is. I don't claim to know what that is. But I like that they're looking. I like that they're trying to figure it out. And I would love to just say it shouldn't be that hard. And it shouldn't be that hard, but supply and demand's hard to figure out sometimes. So I really do hope that they find the right solution. And if they fall back on made to order for other stuff because they have to after people like us like, hey, what the fuck? It's hardly the worst option, but I'm glad that they recognize it's not the ideal one. Wilhelm's complaints is this live stream does not have enough talk about World Minute Cardboard's awesome Papercraft Command Center he released yesterday. By the way, it's free and super duper cool. That's because I haven't watched the video yet. So yes, you really should subscribe to World Minute Cardboard's channel. He's the best papercraft on YouTube, in my opinion. And I'm going to check out his command center, and I'm maybe going to print myself that up there. That's what I'm going to do. Kieran Ball says, like the MCU Hulk, I'm always angry. That's fair. Nerd Raid says, with Hasbro and other companies, is the short-term fix going to slow slide back to questionable habits? I definitely hear what you're picking up. I hear what you're picking up. And Jim Lago says, are there going to be more drunken movie reviews in the future? Probably not, but never say never. That was like a perfect storm of things. because I was drunk and I was watching the Halloween movie at Halloween. It's the conclusion of a trilogy I was really getting into. Um, is that possible? Sure, absolutely possible. But will I purpose make that stuff? No. Well, it was just kind of like I want to talk. Basically, that was because I wanted to talk about that movie verbally to someone, and the only person here, well, the closest thing to a person was the camera. So I was like, "Hey, it's fucking." I haven't watched it. I rewatched it once, and I haven't watched it since. Not my best work, but y'all apparently liked it because I got some decent views. No one says, I'm happy they came out with another Origins trap job because I wasn't paying 100 plus for them. Fair enough. I'm lucky enough to have the original Origins one and also this one. I think they're both great, and it's great that it's available, for crying out loud. And Bill, echoing Largo, saying that the movie was hilarious. I'm glad that you thought it was. It's a thing. It's a thing. Ozzy says Halloween Ends wasn't as bad as Kills. Wasn't as great. It wasn't great either. I don't think Kills was bad at all. That's the one I rewatched the most. I think Halloween 2018 is a lot better than people credit for. I think Kills is a good middle chapter. And Ends, I liked it very, very much. In the moment, I was like, this is really cool. They're taking chances. But upon rewatching it, it's like, it's a little slow in the beginning. So I kind of feel like the first part of the movie is like a 60-40 split on like, here's the setup and now here's the payoff. I would have much preferred a 50-50 split. We have like half the movie is the setup and half the movie is the payoff. But I really enjoyed it. It was a cool ride, and they were really trying to do something else with it, to the point of it being just really interesting that they had the balls to take that risk. I really appreciated it. Kieran Ball thinks I'm nuts. I am nuts. You're absolutely right. You're 100% correct. Dun, 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 dun. Jim Lago says, my only experience with Mattel Creations arrived today. The remote control Batmobile. Very pleased with the price and quality, but it could have been at retail. I agree. Steve saw the video and thought, Norm! Cheers reference, obviously. And Wilhelm says, I'll watch your drunken reviews anytime. Appreciate that. Woman at Cobra says, wow, thanks for the shout out and supporting my channel. I'm like, thanks for having one, dude. You do some great stuff. Like, go check the guy out. He does awesome stuff. Woman at Cobra, it's right there. Check it out. Mods, can we paste his channel's link in chat, please, for everyone who's interested? Johnny Sorensen says, inebriated reviews and news for yours getting new views. Yeah, that's fair. It's fair enough. So, but what we, like I said, we've been talking about expressing discomfort or frustration or dissent or just complaining. Like, it's a whole thing, right? And if we don't do that, whether it be overtly, verbally, on social media, or by doing it passively and just not spending the money, these things that we do get upset about are never going to resolve themselves. And some of that I do think comes down to something as simple as, we always say, share this video, share this, that. Talk to your friends about it. Like, hey, man, I'm not feeling this or that. Like, what do you think? Have discussions with people, right? Make sure that you're forming your opinion from varied sources. Maybe other people know something you don't, and vice versa. Maybe someone who is like, hey, I'm going to get this Eternia. And you talk to them, it's like, well, are you sure? Like, that's like 8 Castle Grayskulls or something. And a lot of figures. And it's like, is that really worth it to you? Like, and then they think about it, you know what, it's not worth it. And I'm not saying talk people out of buying what they want, but discussions and having debates that are respectful and friendly in nature can make all the difference in the world, right? And I think it's important in today's day and age that you let people know, like, I want you to have what you want, but I want you to know that the way that they are providing it to you is crap. And people just tend to think we don't want them to want what they want because we don't want it. It's like, oh my God. Like, for example, I don't get Domino's pizza, like, ever. But does that mean I think Domino's pizza should be, like, burned to the ground and no one should ever have it? No, I'll order something else. That's like kind of like what Nolan was saying. Like, I'm not buying Journey. I'll buy something else. I totally get that. But that's kind of the thing, is that there's nuance to this. There's ways to spread the word without being a jerk. Like, what's the point of being a dickbag if you're trying to get something reasonably positive done? I don't understand that. Stephen S says, a new gym segment, Drunken Reviews. Not going to be a segment. Never be a segment, because that would necessitate me getting drunk during the show and then stop and say, I'm drunk, I'm going to review some now. No, we're not doing that. Nerdbraid asks if I've seen the Child's Play series. The originals, yes. I have not seen the most recent Child's Play out of it looks like crap. But the original, like 3 or 4 or 5, yeah, love them. I mean, I don't love them as much as other stuff. Like, I love Friday the 13th. I love Nightmare on Elm Street. I love Hellraiser. Halloween, hit and miss. But I place all those above Child's Play. But it's good. I do enjoy it. Ian Sweetie says, always used to feel horror movies went well being drunk. Shame you don't drink anymore. No, I get where you're coming from, but a good movie is going to be good whether you're drunk or not. But I get what you're saying. Bill Wifta says, I haven't ever done a drunk stream. I don't drink anymore either. So, I mean, that should not be like the main thing of anyone's content. I have a friend who did try to do only drunken content, and after a year, he pulled his channel, went into rehab, stopped drinking. Like, it's not a good idea. You really don't want to do that. Nolan says he doesn't drink anymore either, but in Canada have other stuff legalized that makes movies a blast. I bet you do. Stephen S. says, my mama says Domino's Pizza is the devil. I wouldn't say it's very far off. Jason Garcia says, deep thoughts with Jim. I'll show you some deep thoughts. You coming up this weekend? Drink water. I've been drinking water all daggum day, sir, but I'm good. Ian asks if it's wrong you enjoy Jason X. Nope, because I like that movie too. Domino's Pizza is a stretch goal for Ghost Rider HasLab. Huh. Jim Longo says that we can agree to disagree, but if you overpay for something exclusive, I will clown on you with light hazing. That's fair. That's what friends do, I guess. Garcia's done gaming rages drunk. I tried that, especially in Destiny, but my hand-eye coordination goes out the window, and I'm horrible. I'm horrible at Destiny when I'm drinking. Horrible. To the point where, there's a 9-month stretch in Destiny, the first one when it came out. 9 months I didn't have a drop of alcohol because I wanted to make sure I was available if someone wanted to do a raid. 100% true. 100% true. The sci-fi TV show. No, I have not seen that, but I will have to check that out. I've heard good things about the series. Dun, 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 bum, bum, bum. Logic Blaster says, local pizza places typically make better quality food than Domino's anyway. Always go local and support my own community. Fair enough. Work demands your attention. I don't blame you one bit. I will miss you this weekend, but I will see you in Houston in the spring. Maybe sooner. We've talked about some other stuff, but definitely for retro. Ian Sweeney with a good line reading. Guys, it's okay. He just wanted his machete back. Ooh! Man, it's good stuff. I love it. Dun, dun, dun. People exchanging pizzerias. Everybody says, I spent my $500 on my Series X rather than Eternia, mostly because I get it now and don't have the space for Eternia. There you go. It's a good reason. That's a really, take all the interest stuff, all the major arguments out of the way. You're handing $700 over to a company, you're not getting anything for over a year. That's a harsh pill to swallow, man. It's a harsh pill to swallow. Pope says to chase the water with whiskey. I would, but I won't. I do have whiskey. I'm not doing that. I might have a drink a little bit later tonight, 1 or 2. Nothing crazy. I gotta maintain. I gotta arrive at Retropalooza very hydrated because if I don't, I'm gonna really hate myself the rest of the weekend. I gotta be good to my body this week. Pope says, "Hello, I've been ghost watching. That's called lurking, and lurking is love, as we say on the Twitch community." Dun, 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 dun. All right, so glad to see you guys continuing to debate in chat, and I want you to continue that. We can come back to this, but I do have a couple pre-orders to go over. Some that I knew about, some that we've already talked about privately or whatever, but I want to show everybody. So the first foremost, over on the Big Bad Toy Store, they re-released the Marvel Comics accurate Moon Knight. Quite quietly, I might add. Confirmed with a couple different sources that this is just a reissue of what was originally a Walgreens exclusive. But he's a beautiful figure, and if you missed out on him the first time, you know he's gotten pricey. So he's definitely worth a second shot. So if you're in on this, jump on it. I think it's a great figure, and I'm really looking forward to getting it myself, without question. We've got a Studio Series Core Rumble. So this is the little guy series. I love everything about this version of the character. He's cartoon accurate. He looks great. He's got all his little, like, first we craft the shell, then we crush the nuts inside. He's got everything going for him. And even if you don't collect Transformers, but you like this character, $12 is a good price. Just having a little Rumble guy at your desk. So, it's good. Kieran Ball says that Moon Knight's not as nice as the all-white. I cannot disagree with that. I would agree. But it's good to have the old Moon Knight there. So, but Rumble's a good get. Check him out if you haven't. Again, it was kind of quietly released. Gojatron turned me on to this. This is a Toho Super 7 Super Shogun Mechagodzilla in full color. He has shooting missiles out of his fingers. He just kind of looks like your neighbor. He's just like, "Hey, neighbor." It's really cool. He's ginormous. He's 20 inches tall, which is not that tall, but it's pretty freaking tall. But he's also $400 freaking dollars. I don't understand. I don't understand. 6 points for articulation, maybe. Even with the missile launchers, like, I don't get it. I can't see this being more than $200. Like, $200 would be the absolute ceiling for something like this, and for that, he better have light up eyes or something. It's kind of, yeah, like, it should not be this much. Should not. Like, if we could make this for around 150, I know Super 7 can make this a lot cheaper. I don't get that at all. I love it, but the price is just, what the fuck? It's horrible. No one says he's awesome. A little pricey. Ouch on the price tag. I agree. Will says, "Who are you? Why are you who are you calling uncharismatic?" Yeah, I love that. Stephen S says, "Was just about to say, like Shogun Godzilla. Oh crap, it shows up. You're right." Jason with a good point. The Godzilla license ain't gonna pay itself. You're not wrong. Does he come with a monorail? He does not come with a monorail. Me no like price. Me like cheap toys. Yes. No, we're not making it. I'm saying we could. We're not. Speaking of Godzilla, they got these old school plastic masks. Now they're charging $20 for these. Now, if it was just the mask, I'd say go fuck yourself. But to get it inside the box like this, like to really create that old school vibe, and bearing in mind the Toho license ain't exactly cheap, I like these. Now, it's a huge miss. You're releasing this around Halloween, but I don't get it until February. Fail. You can get Godzilla or Mechagodzilla. Personally, when they come in stock, I'm probably getting both. Because they're great display pieces, right? I still feel like $15 would be more on the mark. $15 I could kind of understand, but $20, it's a bit much. It's a bit much. But coming in closer on the price range that I would expect is this 40th anniversary ET plush. He's got his little light up finger and I'll be right here and all that shit. It's cute. And if you're into this sort of thing, you know, 7 inches wide, he's about like this, just a little guy. He's just a little guy. It's a nice little toy. Nice little toy. Bill Wifta says you should have seen what the Uni-5 Great Manzinger went for. That was 8 years ago. I don't even want to know. I don't want to know. Steve's like, damn it, not Megalon. No, not Megalon. Pope says, so sort of off topic, but always from me, have you guys seen the Joy Toy brand mecha figures? I have not recently seen them, no. I've heard good things about them, though. And Nervous says, are you saying Resurrection will do Super Shogun scaled figures? I'm not saying we won't, but this is definitely not me saying it's in the works, because it's not in the works. But I never say never. I never say never, unless it's something that's completely impossible. Giraffe says, I associate Godzilla with Valentine's Day, so ship date's fine. I mean, that's fair, Giraffe. That's fair. Bill says he's not allowed to talk about unreleased toys anymore. I mean, I am. I'm just not allowed to say that when they'll be released. That's all. I'm just stopping myself from giving dates until we have them. Yeah, it could be a VTV show mask. You're not wrong. Stephen S. asks if the ET's $300. No, $17. $17. So now we knew this was coming to retail, but this is the 3D cartoon, the CGI cartoon for He-Man Masters Universe, the Castle Grayskull. Now, granted, you can probably walk into any store and buy one, but if you wanted to get it through Big Bad for some reason, you could. And it is at retail price. So you're not really losing anything, and chances are the box will arrive in better shape, as opposed to buying it from a retailer. But I'm just throwing this up here, because if you're in, there's another avenue with which to get it. Speaking of Mo2, Origins Mechaneck and Road Ripper are up for pre-order on Big Bad. We were afraid this was going to be another Walmart exclusive. It clearly is not. And it's not any higher in price than what Walmart is charging. And I know that Bill, for example, isn't going to get one unless he comes across it in the store, and then maybe he'll buy one. But for those of us that are all in, like myself, this is a great way to get it. I don't have to give Walmart any of my money. So very, very happy to have seen that earlier today. People that are into Destiny, I play Destiny, they have these cool statues you can get from Numbskull, but they're ordered through here. There's cheaper shipping, cheaper tax. These are good. So if you're into that stuff, get them. Now, why would Jim show an Origins Whiplash when he already has one and they're already out in the stores? Very simple reason. This one ships with U.S. packaging. Okay. So if you live in an area where you cannot get any figures from that line, spoilers, most of you can find them. This is worth it because I got the entire wave in Europe and the comics don't have bubbles. This is one time where all of the characters coming with one comic actually helps me. So I might actually buy one of these just to guarantee myself a goddamn comic. Now, if any of you kind fellows out there have that wave, and you have more than one comic from this wave, and you want to slip that in an envelope, you just let old Jimmy Boy know, because that's really the only reason I would buy this. But that's a thing. It's definitely a thing. So that exists. Something else I want to bring up. This is a parking lot column with a little railing around it. Nice little diorama piece for $35. A little on the expensive side, but I love the detail on it. And it does come in 1/12 and 1/6 scale. So depending on what you want to use it for, you can have some fun with it. It's fun. I happened to see it. I thought it was great. And it is made of resin. It's a pretty quality piece from what I can see. Looks cool. Looks good. Brendan Haley in the house. What's up, mate? Dun, 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 dun. I don't know what that song is. You know, it's a whole thing. The whole thing. Mm-hmm. 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 No one just says, I recently went through all my Origins minis and only one has bubbles. Ooh. Everybody says, I can have a Motu fig without giving Walmart any money. I'd be living the dream. That's why I go all through Big Bad. That's what I do. I really like doing that. Especially when it's an exclusive, a supposed exclusive. Stick a sword in for Highlander reference. There you go. That was kind of what I was thinking. Now, I never see any like alerts for this stuff, but I kind of like watching these from afar. It's like a third party huffer, it looks like. And he's a really cool looking figure. He's not insanely expensive for what he is. He's hyper articulated. He's got great paint finish on him. It's a good looking little huffer there. So if you're into that, again, no one ever like tweets these out. So I just go through the pre-orders every week and see what I missed. And I think he's a good. I think he's a good. Jim Largo, almost on cue, says, "Where's our Motu Origins Point Driven Talon Fighter? I'm sure it's coming. They've referenced it too many times for it not to be coming. Just give him a minute. Give him a minute." Now, to close out the pre-orders for the show, I am really interested in this. This is a Nightmare on Elm Street licensed prop replica. It is made of metal, so you have metal claws, leather-like fabric, so it's like pleather. But you got metal on here, and this is all dull, but it is metal. Like, just for the vibe, this is great. And getting a true, prop replica of this claw from custom makers, it's a lot more expensive. So to get this one as a licensed product that comes in a box that you could display, I'm all over this. I don't know why it's not letting me show the box. We'll just reload the page. Screw them. Because to me, like, I'm all in on this. It comes with a mold for the hand and it's in the box. Like, dude, I had like the really cheap plastic one that you get at Spencer's for like $10. I had that for years. I love that thing. I've always wanted one of the custom ones. But for $80, of course I'm going to get this. Of course I'm going to get this. I'm really into it. Granted, I know most of you aren't into it. Some of you might be. Nerd Rage, take care. I appreciate you. Wilhelm's, I hear Resurrection Toys doing a point dread. No, not so much. Would make nose picking a real challenge? I mean, without hurting yourself, sure. Why? Because it's metal. You're exactly right. It's 100% why I want it. It's very cool. I'm a big Nightmare on Elm Street fan, man, and that's one of those things that, I had it, I threw it away, and I would love to put the two side by side kind of a thing, but that would be great. And having something that cool that comes in a box that's just displayable. It's like, in the living room it goes, on the mantle, done. Bjorn, thinking practically, says you could butter 4 pieces of bread at the same time with that. You could. You absolutely could. Makes meal prep a joy. It slices, it dices, it makes julienne fries in 3 different ways. Absolutely. It is really good to see you, Brendan. Really is good to see you, mate. Glad you're here. Dishwasher? I doubt it. Especially with that leather-like fabric. I really, really doubt it. And Gojatron is here as well, despite the work and thing. Joe Logan says, "It's a nice back scratcher to give your significant other." Yeah, you're reading between the lines. If I pulled this out with any of my significant other, they'd be like, what? Saves a fortune on can openers. I mean, I could see that. I heard Resurrection Toys making a giant-sized kaiju potato-headed man with French fry fingers. No, we're not doing that. We are absolutely not doing that. So we're at the point of the show where it's open discussion Q&A as per usual. Obviously, I would love to continue talking about the idea of respectful complaining. about things and being expressive and being able to have conversations with people that maybe you disagree with. It's important because if this hobby or any of these hobbies that we love are to survive, it's only going to be because people communicate what they want in the hopes that the people that provide them with the things they want will actually get them those things. It's the only way to do it. Voting with the wallet is great and only goes so far. If all you do is vote with your wallet, they might stop selling the stuff altogether. I'm not saying buy stuff just to keep the thing alive. I'm saying if you're not going to pay for it, I'll totally get it. Maybe throw a tweet out there once in a while or something, or show up to a chat like this or whatever, something, right? It's important. But certainly any of the pre-orders that we talked about would be great. Retropalooza questions, movie questions. Speaking of, you only have a couple days left. If you have not ordered a Blu-ray copy of the Adventures in Game Chasing film, it's getting cut off here in just a few days. And the special 2-disc edition that's coming out, we're only doing one print run of that. And from what Rob's told me, the special features are insanely good. So if you're interested, please look up the Indiegogo, the Adventures in the Game Chasers movie Indiegogo. Pre-order you a copy. They're going to be going to the printers next week. So we're closing the pre-orders before Retropalooza. Okay? William says, I was wondering if someone tells me I have the touch, is it safe for me to assume that I also have the power? I would say that it is 100% safe. Because if one has the touch, they do, in fact, have the power. And it's even confirmed when Stan Bush says, yeah, he wants to drive that point home. So 100%. 100%. Bill Lifton says, I start filling up carts at Big Bad Toy Store. Thanks, Jim. You're welcome, my friend. You're welcome. Jim Logan says, where'd I get my lab coat? B still waiting for BBTS pre-order. Amazon. Got them from Amazon. So I'm in the habit now. I pre-order everywhere, and wherever it shows up first, I get it, and I cancel everywhere else. Showed up. And I was a little angry that he was early, but then he arrived in hand, and I said, well, shit. That's awesome. Amazon is where I got them. Steven says, grr, fire bad, collectors mad. I mean, we have to avoid that tone, right? Brendan Haley says, I'm struggling to keep up with Origins as the lines seem to be coming out quicker and quicker. It's true. Do you recall a certain toy person predicted Origins wasn't going to survive this year? It's fine. I think it's doing just fine. Especially with everything that's looking to come out next year. There's plenty of product in the pipeline. I don't think it's going anywhere. Especially given that we're getting Snake Mountain next year. And to be perfectly honest, if the Snake Men, that whole Snake line, and then Snake Mountain were the swan song, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But there are many more characters I'd like to see in figure form before they hang it up. That's for sure. And I agree with what Bill says about that. 100%. 100%. Mm-hmm. Steven wants a lab coat so he can feel smart or like a diabolical scientist villain. It works. Grab it. Jason Garcia says maybe they should go back to focus groups or at least get reactions polls before they announce products or price increases from more than just fanboys to gauge it's going to be viable in the market. I'd agree with that. The counter argument to that would be them having to hire someone that actually knows what the fuck they're doing when it comes to statistics, which that's not likely. Woman Cardboard just rejoined, lost feed for a while. What'd you miss? What you missed was just about all the pre-orders we went through, and now we're just talking. We're just chatting, but welcome back. Welcome back, my friend. Welcome back. When it comes to Origins, I don't think they're going to be done anytime soon. Again, they have a lot of stuff coming out next year. Plenty of things that I think that they want to touch on. The one silver lining with Eternia means that they're willing to go big with stuff. So I have a feeling that what we'll probably start seeing next year, we'll see announcements for Point Dread and the Talon Fighter. We'll see an announcement or hints at Fright Zone and the Slime Pit. Personally, I think they should take the Fright Zone and the Slime Pit and combine them into one larger playset. sell them at retail, or just do the originals in Origin styling at retail because those would sell like hotcakes. Right? You give me a Fright Zone, which is a smaller playset, beef it up just a little bit and sell it for under $80. All in. Slime Pit, gussy that thing up, give it a little bit more accessories, $50, done. Talon Fighter, Point Dread, all day long. Make them a little bigger, make the wings bigger, all in. There's way too many things that they could do with just those alone. Never mind the figures that they have potential to do with all that stuff coming out. So, it's a whole thing. Anyone excited about the Frog Mongler? It's pretty cool. It is cool. Don't get me wrong. Stephen S. says, I watched the Transformers movie so much over the years that the doctors were asking me where the dolls on the doll sandwich touched me. I mean, Grizzlor don't like slime. That's true. You don't want to if they do make the slime pit, do not put Grizzlor in your slime pit. Gojitron says, need Origins too bad and Spikor before it's done. Those are two of my most requested figures at this point. Modulok, a lot of Horde figures, honestly. So need a Too Bad, Spikor, and Modulok for sure. Melvor, who I cannot wait to see this weekend. I swear if you tell me you're working, I'm going to pull your hair out. Melvor would like to see Point Dread turn into an actual playset, maybe a base hidden in a mountain. That would be great, but I doubt it. I really hope they do that. I do. I think that's a great idea. In fact, I don't know why Mattel hasn't hired you, because just in those couple hours we hung out the last time, the stuff we were talking about with Motu, like, they need to talk to you, my opinion. Woman Carver says, the ticket I bought is only for Saturday with the vendor floor. Will I be able to get to see you? Yes, it's not that kind of convention. Once you have access to the floor, you got access to the whole floor. So I will be there. One way or the other, no matter what, I will be on the floor. And certainly message me on the Instagrams. If you can't find me, I will do my absolute best to be findable. Okay? Yes, of course you'll be able to see me. Of course. Brendan Hayes says, I enjoy the Sunman figures in Origins as it captures esprit de corps and Motu's influence. I agree. Haven't gotten any Snake Men yet, as I like the idea of him headcanon. Will at some time. Well, they're not available yet, so it's okay. Slime is greater than Grizzlor. Well, I mean, I have Grizzlor, and I'm not putting slime on him. That's all I'm saying. And of course you doubt it. You're like I'd like him to do. I'm not going to do it. Stupid. I've seen your face a lot lately. I have this tradition where I rewatch all the Game Chasers seasons. I just binge them leading up to Retropalooza so I can catch anything a fan says, so that I won't get caught slipping on their quotes, because it does happen sometimes. I also have to rewatch the movie, which I will on Friday, of course, so that when people start quoting it throughout the rest of the weekend, I can, actually remember what the fuck I said, let alone other people. But it's been great to see your face. It's like you're here, but you're not here. But my favorite clip of you that's ever been replayed is the one where you guys woke up Jay, and he's like, "Ooh!" That was the best. And you lost it. You couldn't breathe. I laugh out loud with you every time that comes on, because I wish I had been there. That would have been the best morning in the world. I mean, maybe. Toy Chasers are better, in my opinion. But because it involves you, I like to see it. So, no. Karen Ball's out of here. Appreciate you. As always, sir. Steven says, I always wondered if you Skeletor's men were serving in the Horde too. I mean, I'm sure they moonlight. They got to get paid, right? Bjorn asked if I ever found the other Spidor. You mean a Roton? Roton? The Roton's coming. In fact, I think it's at the thing. I got to go this week. Daniel Corhuna asked, what about the Toy Chasers? He's going to say they suck too. He's just like that. As a term of endearment, we call each other stupid. So that's a whole thing. Bill says, comes with senses, empties his big bad toy store cart. Well, can't win them all. So, but look, guys, this has been a great amount of fun, and I love you guys very much. But I'm going to give you guys the 5-minute warning before we go. But I do want to urge you to continue to express your support for things and to express your dissent in equally respectable amounts so that we can continue to grow our hobbies and our communities in a positive way. Do not fall prey to the echo chambers. Do not fall prey to just blind negativity over something. Form your own opinion, express it respectfully. That's how change gets made. It's definitely a huge thing. So, with all of that in mind, screw the 5-minute warning. I'm going to go. I love you guys. We will see you very soon, especially if you'll be at Retropalooza. I'll see you then. And before I go, on that note, Melvor says, Toys Chasers suck also, except for that Melvor guy. He's pretty awesome. I agree. You're pretty awesome. So, with all that said, for the third time having said that all, I'm really going. We'll see you this weekend at Retropalooza. Maybe some content in between, but I make no promises. Keep your eyes peeled at Resurrection Toys because there's actually a really cool sales promotion coming up that you won't want to miss. Heard it here first. Cheers.